Hey, so welcome back to the channel, babe. My name is David Pearsall from Cult Culture. If you're watching this video, you know that at the 2024 Game Awards, Naughty Dog announced their new IP, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. It's a sci-fi futuristic, I don't know what, open world maybe? I don't know, but we're going to jump in frame by frame, break it down, and look, there's tons of new details, theories, etc. So please stick to the end to hear them all. All right, so right off the rip, we see ancient superior scripture dated in 1986 that reads, "The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve our divine end." So we know because of The Last of Us 2, Neil Druckmann likes to use religious aspects in his games. He often uses it as a point of confliction between main characters, so I expect nonetheless here. Neil Druckmann actually gave us a couple tidbits, and one of the things that he said is that the proposed question of the game is, what happens when you put your faith into different institutions? So I think we're getting a religious context for sure. So next we open up in space looking down at a vast blue planet that once the camera passes through this like object in space that's like broken up, the planet turns red. I think this is the planet Semperia because it seems that Jordan navigates to it later after hearing some news about it. The red and blue might foreshadow opposing forces on said planet. I guess we'll figure that out later. You're probably going to hear me talk about this spiral a lot. We see a lot of spirals in this trailer, and I think that's definitely not without purpose. And so I'm going to propose a theory later on why I think that is. All right, so next we land on a red spaceship that is branded with Porsche on the back. Naughty Dog did collaborate with Porsche to make this spaceship design. This ship is called the Porsche 984 Tempest NDX. I'm assuming the NDX is like Naughty Dog something. You can actually see this written under the Porsche branding in the trailer if you zoom in. Believe it or not, Porsche does little side quests like this all the time. I think it's really dope. They actually did something like this back in 2020 for Lucasfilms on the film Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. Fingers crossed that we're going to get ship mechanics in this game, that we can actually fly these things. I mean, look, Naughty Dog has done things with transportation in the past, with the Jeep from Uncharted 4. We saw that. We didn't really see any in The Last of Us, but they have kind of veered into that world. The ship is also facing directly at that spiral I mentioned before. Look, I don't think I'm reaching, but I think the spirals are going to be a common symbolic theme in this game. It's also even prominently shown in all the promo material. Next, we land on a shot showing a muted animated movie, or maybe a TV show, and I must say this looks super dope. Despite some rumors, this isn't a real anime. This was completely created by animator Zach Lydon for this game. And look, I hope that we get some extra materials that like show us this full clip. Maybe it's like a companion thing that we can get with the game. You know, sometimes they put art inside the game that you can look at. Anyways, if we don't, I hope we get to see more of Zach Lydon's work. Here's his Instagram because look, dude, he's super dope, and everyone was commenting on this. In the small clip, we see a girl dual wielding guns and blasting alien creatures. Being that this is what our protagonist is watching on the screen, I think this is a foreshadow to the type of things we'll be doing in this game. It's very obvious in this trailer that the protagonist of this game is a bounty hunter, and so I think we're going to get someone who's very edgy, very willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done, just based off how they carry themselves in this trailer. I'm super excited. I think we're going to get another Nathan Drake type character, and to me, bro, Naughty Dog's the best at doing that. All right, so then for the first time, we see the main character in the game, Jordan A. Munn, played by Tati Gabrielle. If you did watch the live-action rendition of Uncharted, she actually played Joe Braddock in that film. She's also played in amazing things such as The 100, The Emoji Movie, and The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Long story short, she's talented. The first thing we see her doing is shaving her head, and we can see some pretty gnarly scars on the back of her skull. Now, this is where my biggest theory begins, because I think that this has a more impactful meaning than we may have caught on the first watch, and I'll tell you why later, so stick around to find out. We also see a few tattoos on her left arm. It appears to be a giant sea creature there on her left arm, such as a giant octopus or kraken. We also see a flock of birds on her right collarbone. To me, this proves that Earth is a real place in this universe and that she is from it, and she might also have a certain empathy towards wildlife. Look, we've seen in past games with horses and giraffes and monkeys that Naughty Dog likes to put wildlife in their games, and so I think we're gonna have interactive moments with that. I don't know about you, but every opportunity that I got to pet the dog in The Last of Us Part 2, I did. On her right tricep, we see a tattoo that I can't figure out, but it looks like it may be a futuristic language and potentially a target behind the font. This could be associated with her bounty hunter affiliation. On the inside of her right forearm, it appears to be a black hole that is tatted there. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you know, kind of has that look. Jordan then walks past the TV screen that now reads incoming call over the previously seen animation from before. Now this is the point in the trailer which I realized this will be an anachronistic game, meaning the time period is kind of nondescript. Like obviously this is set in the future, but you see vintage objects like a VCR, TV combination. We see some more later on with the CD player, which I'll talk about later. Jordan then shifts through a stack of magazines, papers, and other things on the table. I didn't find many Easter eggs here except for a few, such as this news headline reads, "The price of crystal." Crystal may play a bigger part in the currency of this game. Who knows? This might be the main collectible comic, kind of like Savage Starlight in the Last of Us series, which, I mean, that's cool. I don't really ever do that stuff though. All right, so next we get a ton of info as Jordan walks past her tack board. This seems to be where she tracks all of her bounties, etc. It all revolves around this one large photo. Look at all the things around this photo and put it all into context. It all paints a larger picture. Let's start with the people in the photo. This is an old photo of the group called the Five Aces. Seeing that the newspapers around this photo say things such as "What happened to the Five Aces?" and "Five Aces mastermind dead or hiding." The Five Aces might have been a group of bandits based on the news headline that reads, "Third largest safety deposit ship discovered empty weeks after theft." And this article here starts by saying, "For years, these notorious intergalactic criminals were unstoppable. Then suddenly, the crime spree ended." All right, so what we can read here, these guys were incredibly good at what they do. They were incredible thieves, kind of like the Dutch van der Lingane in Red Dead Redemption 2. These guys were that version of this. But something definitely broke them apart, and I'll tell you why, and I think Jordan is hunting them all one by one. Let's jump into each member individually. First, we have our main character, Jordan, right here. Later in the trailer, it's apparent that Jordan is steady set on doing whatever it takes to go after each one of these specific members. Next to her is an unnamed man who looks to be the leader / mastermind of the group, as mentioned on that news headline. There are a few confirmed actors playing in this game, and one of them, whose part remains unannounced, is Tony Dalton from Better Call Saul. Look, I don't know about you, but this dude is like spitting image. I mean, you might as well confirm that's who he's playing at this point. I just don't think they want to confirm the character's name yet. If this is indeed true and he is the antagonist of the game, bro, we are in for one heck of a ride. If you haven't watched Better Call Saul and see him play Lalo Salamanca, he is horrifyingly charming and evil. I don't want to spoil it for you, but like one of the best villains I've ever watched. Now let's focus on these two for a second. Out of everyone in the photo, these two look the closest. They might have had a romantic relationship, and this brings me back to the head shaving and why it may have a more impactful symbolism. Now here's my biggest theory. When I look at the context of this photo, with the context of the shot choices in this trailer, I think there might be some sort of domestic abuse here. I don't want to jump to any crazy conclusions, but Neil Druckmann specifically added the close-up of the razor and the head shaving, and then her looking in the mirror after she was done doing it. I think there's a larger context here, and let me tell you why. Neil Druckmann, the director of the Last of Us series and the director of this game, has never stepped away from dealing with women problems that are parallel with the real world, and I don't think he's going to stop doing that now. If you're not familiar, there was a movement where women were shaving their heads for domestic abuse awareness. I think Neil Druckmann is hip to that. He spends a lot of time on social media. He obviously is someone who is in the progressive movement, whatever you want to call that. I don't want to get too much into it here because that's not what we do on this channel. But I think he for sure likes to deal with the problems of women, and he definitely likes to write strong characters who deal with real things. Also want to say that Neil Druckmann said that this is his most story ambitious game, and that the story ambitions are rival to the gameplay ambitions. So I think dealing with tough subjects is nothing new to him. He did the same thing with Joel and Abby. I think he's going to do it here. That is also super dark. So let's move on to some of the other people in the photo. Next to Mr. Mustache is this woman, also featured here. There's not really many details about the character. She's rumored to be played by Last of Us actor Ashley Scott, who played Maria. To the left of her is another unnamed character played by Stephen A. Chang, who, yep, plays Jesse in The Last of Us 2, which he killed that role. This guy standing up on the far left is a character named Colin Greaves, played by Kumail Nanjiani. Other than Jordan, he's the only named member of the Five Aces. We see his photo and name later on in the trailer. This tack board gives us a lot of skeleton on the narrative of the game. Much like The Last of Us Part 2, I think that something happened. This group either did something to Jordan or she disagreed heavily at one point in their careers, and now she is on a revenge where she's going to take down each person one by one. Just like The Last of Us Part 2 with Abby and Ellie. I don't necessarily think that this is just going to be a black and white revenge tale. I think there's going to be blurred lines between morale. I actually really like how he made me question whether Ellie or Joel was right in The Last of Us Part 2. I think that's great storytelling, and so I'm excited to see how he does something like that in this game. He never makes the morale of the characters black and white. And that's just the reality of humanity. And that's why I like it so much. All right, so before we move on, let's briefly talk about some of the minor details on this tack board. It seems Jordan has been searching for these guys for at least 4 years based on the text here that is time-stamping this photo. This note here alludes to the idea that maybe they are going by multiple aliases, some of which Jordan has acquired the ID cards for. Right here, we see a list of titles known as VIN variants. I personally don't know of any other VIN than what my car has, which stands for Vehicle Identification Number. So this might be, you know, the VINs for said spaceships from each member of the Five Aces. I don't know. VIN variants, I don't know if they're like, you know, using some sort of device to like switch up their VINs. I don't know. I really don't know. We don't have any context clues other than the real world on that one. Below that is a map with destinations attached and routes. This actually gives me hope that we might be able to travel outside of Semperia at some point, just given that we have a map here, and we're going to see a larger map later on in the trailer that I'll go over later. There's also a lot of random footage and text mentioning like restaurants, photos of like what looks to be cityscapes. I actually think we're going to get some major cities like kind of like Night City and Cyberpunk, which, man, bro, Naughty Dog is going to go stupid on this, bro. Lastly, the name Hypergate is seen a few times on this board. I think this may be some sort of futuristic communication. In this instance, it looks like a way for bounties to be sent out to people like Jordan to hunt down. Being that this paper here has her name and the word bounty also written on it, this might be some sort of like bounty warrant. I don't know. Okay, so that's it for the board. Let's get it pushing. As the camera continues to pan, we see what looks like a full shot of the map out of focus, and it looks huge. Look, if we get an open world game, I don't know if that's been confirmed, and if I missed that, I'm sorry, but if we get an open world game, we can travel to different planets around this like map, dude, bro, that's gonna be crazy.
Jordan?
Tell me something good.
Well, you're right, it checks out. He's hiding out around the Superior Moon.
Next, Jordan answers the call, and the first time we see her agent, which is named AJ. This has already been confirmed to be writer and actress Haley Gross, who also co-wrote The Last of Us Part 2 and had a small part, I think, in Westworld. She's wearing an eye patch and smoking a cigarette. She also appears to be calling in from an office that has an overlook of a futuristic cityscape. At this point, we see another tattoo on Jordan's right tricep that reads 242. This might also be associated with her bounty affiliation. With the assumption that these items are tattooed and are affiliated with her bounty thing, then maybe the question proposed about institution and faith could be applied to the bounty aspect as well. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not getting my job tatted on my arm. So maybe there's a religious slash cultish concept there, kind of like the Mandalorian from Star Wars. I definitely think Neil Druckmann would do that, so we'll see. Agent then mentions that, yeah, she's right. He's hiding out on the Superior Moon. At this point, she's talking about Colin Greaves, which you'll see later. I don't know that if in this world an agent is like an agent actor or an agent like tour manager or something here in the real world, but based off how she's moving in this trailer with her connections, her communication abilities, being able to pinpoint people, I believe it's probably something similar, and she helps confirm bounties and claim them, which you'll see later on in the trailer. I think that's super dope. She's someone with a lot of power, etc.
Next to fucking Semperia. No one has left that planet in over 600 years. Anyone who even flies close.
Jordan gets really excited and begins to get ready. At this point, Agent AJ says some very important information about Semperia. She actually claims that Colin Greaves is next to Semperia on the Semperia Moon, or Semperian Moon. I'm going to be saying that a lot. She also says that no one has left that planet for over 600 years, and that people who fly next to it even just never show up again. This piece of dialogue excites me very much. I am very big into ancient mysteries. That's why I fell in love with the Uncharted series. It's why I love a lot of different TV shows like From. I just love when there's a giant mystery that's ancient and that our main character has to discover. And I think we're going to get a lot of that in this game. As Agent is talking, the camera pans across the table of food, drinks, and what looks to be some sort of game console or other piece of technology. To me, this looks like a Nintendo, but it's not that. I actually could not confirm what this is. It doesn't look like an old Sony console. It might not even be a console at all. It looks like it might be just some sort of technology. I don't know. If anyone knows, leave a comment. Next to that, there also looks to be some sort of currency and another piece of tech we don't know about. Like I said, leave a comment if you know, my boy.
Anyone who even flies close to it is never heard from again.
Superstitions.
No. Superstitions are the crazy rumors about what happened on that planet. These are facts.
Next, Jordan claims that these sayings are just superstitions. An agent quickly corrects her by saying, no, these are facts, and the superstitions are crazy rumors about what happened on planet Semperia. Again, big mystery fan. Can't wait. Jordan then puts a jacket with an interesting logo on it. Now, I heard some people talk about this might be a Dark Horse logo, but the spikes versus the non-spikes on this one with the Dark Horse logo, it just doesn't check out for me. It could be homage to it. More for me, this just looks like a knight on a chess set. I don't know. Maybe it's a brand in the game. I guess we'll figure that out later. Jordan picks up a gun. As per usual, Naughty Dog games, we're going to get some gunplay. Can't wait what type of guns are set in this time period, but I'm sure it's going to be dope. Sitting on the floor looks to be a large blue cargo container with a sticker stuck to it. These appear to be kanji letters, but I can't read kanji, so if anyone knows what this says, please let me know. But right under it says co-pilot, so maybe it's like some sort of like external ship, or maybe just parts for the ship. I have no clue. I think we're going to be able to upgrade our ships or something, so it could be like the company or the software we're using to upgrade it. Who knows? I'm super excited to find out though.
You worry too much.
You know what I worry just right about? I say we wait for him to leave, or how about we find a new lead? He's not worth it.
After that, Jordan ignores several warnings from her agent and gets ready for takeoff. Just based on agent describing Superior in a way that she's extremely fearful of it, man, like, is this going to be a difficult game? I mean, they're hyping this thing up to be crazy. I mean, we could be looking at some super dark stuff.
And so am I, so claim him, or I will find another agent.
Anyone else with all your fucking shit? Okay, alright, you know what? There, you're the boss.
Jordan then threatens to find another agent if she doesn't claim him, talking about Colin Greaves as seen on the screen. If you don't remember, this is this guy to the left on this photo. His bounty is worth 1,600,000 of something. Now, I want to go back. This might be the crystals as mentioned on that news article, and this kind of looks like a crystal here. I have no clue. That could be like the main source of currency. Like maybe crystals were mined on like space somewhere, and it's like just becomes like a world like or intergalactic. I don't know. It looks like a crystal. It might be a crystal. They also reaffirm his affiliation with the Five Aces. The client name is ISMW Terria Sector. I don't know how to say that, but it's a sector. Maybe that's a government, like a city government in comparison to like this world. I don't know. He is apparently at threat level 7. We don't know the how high the levels go. I'm assuming 10 is probably the worst. This is probably our first bounty of the game. We're probably going to learn a lot about what kicks off the rest of the story through this guy. Kumal is an incredible actor, and he might end up being maybe a teammate or something that we might, I don't know. I just don't think they would get him and then not use him a lot in the game. He is incredibly good. If you don't remember, he played in the Immortals and other great franchises. Was the Immortals great? Right here, you can also see Jordan drinking from a Macho Nacho cup, which is a franchise that was mentioned earlier a long time ago in the Uncharted series. I think that's super dope that they keep things in the same world. All right, so before we move on, I think it's good to mention that Jordan does ask if there are more hunters swooping in on the location, which then Agent goes, no one's crazy enough to do that. I think this implies that maybe we're going to have competition in this game. I mean, that's usually what happens with bounty hunters is there's a number out there, so you want to compete. It could be a competing situation or like a brotherhood situation. We don't have enough context clues to figure that out yet, but yeah, just based off her saying she doesn't want the hunters there, I'm assuming that we're gonna have to either fight and deal with them later on. They're probably gonna be very difficult. The more and more I watch this, Jordan is actually very rude to her agent in the scene. She blatantly ignores her. She has a facial expression of like, I don't care. She's like threatens to fire her. I think that this character is gonna go through a lot of growth in this game. I think she is someone who is very angry. She's very dead set on something that is holding her back from reaching her full potential. We are going to see a lot of character growth. This story is going to be amazing. They never fail at making the story groundbreaking, in my opinion.
I'll see you on the other side.
Next, we then again see the infamous spiral. Like I mentioned before, I think the spiral is symbolic. And what I think the spiral symbolizes as of now, because look at how Jordan is looking at it. It's almost like they're looking at each other. There's a shot of the spiral with the foreground being the ship, and then it cuts to her face looking directly at it. I think that this spiral symbolizes the spiral of revenge. We had that theme in The Last of Us Part 2. There's no true satisfaction in revenge. It's a spiral that goes out of control, and I think that is the journey in which Jordan is on. I'm not making a huge claim here, but I really desire to be a filmmaker one day, and I know that when people are writing and directing and adding shots, everything is intentional, and I think he wants us to think deeper into this spiral because it's shown several times in this trailer. After that, we get some Sony product placement. I gotta have this system in my crib, by the way. This looks dope. I don't care if I gotta buy CDs. This looks fire. The system picks up a CD and begins to play It's a Sin by Pet Shop Boys, actually. Jordan then types the number 7202 into the system to play the CD. Now, if you flip those numbers, it's 2027. So a lot of people are like, is this a release date kind of window? And I really hope not, because I want the game sooner, but like, it's not at all. They can do whatever they want. The game's going to be amazing. So we might be looking at this in 2027. We then see another product placement with Adidas as Jordan presses the pedal. Next, we get a takeoff montage. I really hope this means we're going to get the flight ships in the game. As I said, finally, we land on the final moments of this trailer. We are now on what is most likely the surface of Semperia. And far away, we can see yet another spiral. Neil Druckmann, what you trying to tell me, baby? I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out, bro. Suddenly, a robot entity pops into frame, and it looks kind of scary. First things first, it looks like they took inspo from the canceled Jack and Dexter game with this robot design here. Looks oddly similar. On this robot, we see what looks very similar to the ancient Semperian inscription we saw in the beginning of this trailer. I think that is very much the case in this instance. Also, the head of this robot looks to have a very cultish symbol kind of carved into it or like branded into it. This could be like some sort of ancient robot, which I don't know. There's a lot of culture we got to learn about what's happening on Semperia. Next, we see Jordan in the foreground wielding a sword with a similar energy source as her opponent. She jumps off a rock and strikes the robot in the head. I watched those Last of Us documentaries and how Neil and the team really emphasized they want the movement to be fluid. And The Last of Us Part 2 was just nothing short of like some of the best character movement I've ever seen. I think they're going to smack the nail in the coffin on this, and they're going to improve it even more. I think this jumping off the rock is just a little sneak peek of that. I think we're actually going to be able to do stuff like that. They continue to push the veil when it comes to the fluidity of the characters in the game. Do you remember how you could just prone and slide and jump, and it was like I had never seen gameplay like that. Also, as you can see right here, it appears that her Adidas actually light up. I personally like all the product placement in this. I think it's cool. It makes it look super big budget. I mean, it's high value culture items. Like, I'm a fan of pop culture, bro. My account is called Cult Culture. This is dope. I can't wait. This is the subtitle of the game, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. I think it really goes without saying here, but I think the Heretic Prophet here is Jordan. The word heretic means someone who is practicing heresy, which means that that person goes against the religious orthodox beliefs of the area that they're surrounded in. And I mean, I think Jordan is definitely that. She's in Semperia, which, you know, the scripture from the beginning is Semperian. And so I think that Jordan is going to be labeled as a heretic prophet from whatever antagonists exist on that planet. This is only then emphasized once more when the song lyrics come in. It says it's a sin over and over again. I think this is very obvious that her way of life is a sin to whatever religion exists on Semperia. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. I hope you got something from this video. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments and I'll probably make another video. But look, I had scaled this thing from frame to frame. There's some thing about a QR code that I missed, but like, it didn't really go anywhere, so I didn't put it in the video. But look, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I want to do more things like this. If you liked it, leave a like and a comment and subscribe. I appreciate you watching. And until next time, peace.